Senator John Fetterman is taking legal action against Sunny Hostin and the producers of The View. The Pennsylvania senator, known for his signature hoodies and no-nonsense attitude, is now facing off against the reigning voices of daytime talk. But how did we get here? Why has Fetterman shifted from policy debates to courtroom?
Hunter Biden was really politically motivated, but I also think it's true that the trial in New York for Trump that was political as well too. Now it's that, and in both cases, I think a pardon is appropriate, and I really think collectively, America's confidence in these kinds of institutions have been damaged by these kinds of cases. And we cannot allow these kinds of institutions to be weaponized against our political opponents. I'm talking about the New York.
Known for rarely pulling punches, The View is like a gladiator arena for hot takes, where opinions collide, and civility occasionally takes a coffee break. But even by their standards, this time, things went a little too far.
And now the Democrats on our side there were some that were gleeful, calling it like, now he's a convicted felon.
She jumps in and says, well, what about January 6th? And he says, I'm not talking about January 6th.
Yeah.
But before we dive into this drama, don't forget to like and subscribe so you stay updated on all the latest Hollywood and political buzz. Here's the backstory. Senator John Fetterman recently made a surprising visit to Mar-a-Lago, Donald Trump's Florida estate. And no, he wasn't there for golf tips or a bite of the infamous Mar-a-Lago cheeseburgers. As a Democrat, Fetterman was making a bold move, attempting to bridge political divides in a time when those gaps feel wider than the Grand Canyon. But Sunny Hostin wasn't buying it. She questioned his motives, suggesting this wasn't about unity, it was about getting a little too comfortable with the opposition. And this wasn't just political critique, it felt personal. Hostin framed Fetterman as someone willing to trade his democratic values for a seat at Trump.
Fixing past mistakes. A lot of Americans are disturbed about the future. Trump is terrorizing migrants by threatening to call on the military to round them up on U.S. soil. He's also imposing tariffs that everybody says could send prices soaring, and threats to punish the media who don't fall in line. Of all of that, Senator, what worries you the most?
Well, I mean, nothing really worries me, because right now nothing has really happened yet. I mean, Trump now is 6 weeks out before he's even going to be inaugurated. But America signed up for this. It's undeniable. He won the popular vote, and he ran the table, including my state as well, too. This is what America decided. So this is definitely going to go in a direction that a lot of Democrats aren't going to agree with that, but I'm going to be a part of that conversation. And there's going to be plenty of people that are going to freak out
Now, imagine being Fetterman. You're out here trying to revive the dying art of bipartisan dialogue, and suddenly, a talk show host accuses you of fraternizing with the enemy. That's not just frustrating, it's potentially career damaging. And Fetterman? He wasn't about to let it slide. Let's talk about Mar-a-Lago for a second. In today's political climate, it's more than just a location. For Trump supporters, it's a shrine. For his critics, it's the Death Star. So when Fetterman decided to step foot into Trump's Florida fortress, he had to know he was walking into a minefield. But here's the thing, Fetterman isn't your typical Democrat. He's built his career on authenticity, pragmatism, and a refusal to play by the usual rules. Whether it's his signature hoodie over suit aesthetic or his willingness to call out his own party when he disagrees, Fetterman has always been a political maverick.
Many of the nominees, I thought that's been part of the ongoing dialogue, that I've been happy to meet with all of them, and I think I've met with virtually all of them. And I've been watching the hearings, and now that's an ongoing dialogue. So nothing.
His trip to Mar-a-Lago wasn't about aligning with Trump. It was about finding common ground on issues that matter to Pennsylvanians. Still, the optics were tricky. In an era where crossing the aisle often looks like betrayal, Fetterman's visit was bound to stir controversy. But what he probably didn't expect was for that controversy to spiral into a full-blown lawsuit. When Sunny Hostin made her comments, Fetterman didn't just shrug them off. He could have. Politicians get criticized on TV all the time, it's practically a rite of passage. But Fetterman saw this as more than just a personal attack. To him, Hostin's remarks weren't just misleading and harmful, they were emblematic of a much bigger problem in today's.
We'll have plans to work with the administration as to how to remedy a lot of the death and destruction that happened in Gaza as well. I know you've spoken about that. There's been a lot of soul searching on the Democratic side, people needing answers on what went wrong. Do you think that is helpful? And do you think there should also be some soul searching on the Republican side who need to analyze why they would nominate a convicted felon who ran on lies, threats of retribution, and
by sound bites, memes, and hot takes. Complex issues get boiled down to clickbait headlines, and the line between entertainment and journalism grows blurrier by the day. Fetterman's lawsuit forces us to ask some tough questions. What responsibility do media personalities have to ensure their commentary is fair and accurate? At what point does criticism cross the line into defamation? And how do we navigate the fine balance between freedom of speech and accountability?
I mean, nothing really worries me, because right now nothing has really happened yet. I mean, Trump now is 6 weeks out before he's even going to be inaugurated. But America signed up for this. It's undeniable. He won the popular vote, and he ran the table, including my state as well, too. This is what America decided.
Hostin and the producers of The View, this case could serve as a wake-up call. While the show thrives on provocative discussions, this lawsuit underscores the potential consequences of pushing the envelope too far. One of the most fascinating aspects of this story is Fetterman himself. He's not your typical politician, and that's exactly what makes this lawsuit so compelling. Fetterman has built his brand on being a straight shooter, the guy who calls out hypocrisy, stands firm in his beliefs, and refuses to play the partisan game. That authenticity has earned him both loyal supporters and vocal critics. To his fans, he's a breath of fresh air in a political world full of spin and doublespeak. To his detractors, he's a wild card, unpredictable, occasionally abrasive, and unwilling to follow the usual script. But love him or hate him, there's no denying that Fetterman fights for what he believes is right. And in this case, that means defending the integrity of political dialogue. Of course, it wouldn't be fair to tell this story without considering the View's side. The show thrives on controversy. Its bread and butter is dissecting hot-button issues with a mix of humor, passion, and, let's be honest, a little drama. Playing it safe has never been their style. And Sunny Hostin, in particular, is known for pushing boundaries. Her commentary is bold, often polarizing, and unapologetically candid. That's part of what makes her such a...
When they go low, you have to meet that energy and perhaps go even lower, become small like an ant and go to the Earth's crust. And what I will say is...
Not cross
yeah, well, what I will say is she said that she did not enjoy Trump's 2017 inauguration because there was no diversity, there was no color on that stage. She said there was no reflection of the broader sense of what America looks like, and many people took pictures of her
Critics argue that she's reckless and inflammatory. In this case, Hostin might defend her comments as just an opinion, a perspective based on her interpretation of Fetterman's actions. But Fetterman's lawsuit suggests otherwise. He's not just saying, I disagree with your take, he's saying, your take was factually wrong and damaging at its core. This lawsuit taps into a much larger cultural moment. We're living in an era where trust in institutions, whether it's government, media, or even science, is at an all-time low. People are skeptical, cynical, and quick to assume the worst. And in that environment, the way we talk about politics matters more than ever. Fetterman's visit to Mar-a-Lago was a bold move, an attempt to bridge the divide in a country that often feels irreparably fractured. But the backlash and the fallout that followed show just how difficult it is to navigate today's political landscape. On one side, you have people who see any attempt at bipartisanship as betrayal. On the other, you have those so entrenched in their views that they refuse to even consider compromise. And caught in the middle? Fetterman, walking a political tightrope over a pit of partisan quicksand. So where do we go from here? The lawsuit is still in its early stages, and it's hard to predict how it will play out. Will it end in a settlement? Go to trial? Spark a larger conversation about media accountability? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain, this story isn't just about Fetterman and Hostin, it's about all of us. It's about how we consume media, how we engage with politics, and how we navigate the increasingly blurry line between opinion and fact. At its core, Fetterman's lawsuit isn't just legal drama, it's a wake-up call. It challenges us to think critically about the narratives we accept and the impact they have on public discourse. So what do you think? Is Fetterman a hero for pushing back against what he sees as harmful rhetoric? Or is this just another case of political theater? Whatever your take, one thing's for sure, this story